Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee with Derek and Craig. There, we're going to talk a little bit about displaying your treasures, displaying the finds you make out there. I had an email or a comment from Paul, and I can't remember your last name off the top of my head from the last show. There, you can check it out on chat from the last show. He was just wondering, how some ways you can display your finds, and we don't think about this, I guess, off the bat, Craig. I mean, we find this stuff, we clean it, and, we'll put it, like on a table or what have you. But, I mean, sometimes you just want to make a nice display for somebody. Personally, I enjoy when you have somebody in your family or a close friend or something like that that's really into checking out, like neat items. I've made displays for people and given it to them for birthdays or Christmases, and they really... And the only reason I know this is because I go back to their house or whatever and visit them. They still have this stuff out. I know my mother still puts. I have like a 1 foot by 1 foot display case, and I, put a bunch of just relics in there. There's a few coins and stuff, and bullets, but I mean, there's odd stuff that you don't maybe find a lot of or don't see a lot of that actually are good conversation pieces. It's like having something on your coffee table, and people talk about it. Everybody that comes to our house, oh my God, what is this? And they're just basically like tokens that I found, of course, bullets and a few coins and, Tootsie car or whatever, a lot of this older stuff that really isn't worth a ton of money, but it is to me because I found it. And, I always, try to, give these out to people that I know, friends, family, what have you. But as far as displaying, Craig, I mean, one place I found that is kind of good for relic hunters to go to get displays, go to Hobby Lobby. My wife loves that place. I personally, I don't know. I don't like walking around a store just to look around because there's not a lot of hobbies I'm into. I mean, of course, she's into just about everything, whether for needlepoint or crocheting or whatever, which is all great. But I actually walked down through and they actually have an aisle of, I guess it'd be shadow boxes, Craig, or I call them display cases because they're all different shapes and sizes. And I went in there and they had them like 50% off or something like that. These things can get pretty expensive. So, I went in there and I bought a few of them for like, I don't know, I got them for like $8, Craig. And they have all different sizes. You can fit anything in there, really. And I bought some of those. Or you can go rustic style and make your own small display box and use old picture frames. I always liked old picture frames because they're always, wood and carved and, they're very ornate. And you can actually overlay those over a show box of some kind that you make, put about some felt in the bottom there. You can even use, and these are relics that you don't really, I don't know, care about the condition because they're probably going to be kind of rough. A lot of what we find is. I use, like hot glue or something like that to put these items onto the felt so they stay there so you can actually hang it up on the wall or lay it down on a table. And you can do that. And I actually put up a website, guys, on Hardcore Metal Detecting Facebook page. Don from detectingdoodads.com. He actually has what he calls a relic rotisserie, which is kind of, I think it's still in production or he's trying to get it made. I put a video up of it. It's pretty cool. Actually, you can put a coin on this thing or a 3-ringer bullet from the Civil War or whatever, any small item, and it actually turns around like like the old music box kind of thing and displays them, around and about. There's so many different ways. Use your imagination because if it looks good to you, it's going to look good to somebody else, I think. I've even taken, everybody complains about the shotgun shells, Craig, finding all these 12 Georges, shotgun shells, the old paper rounds where it's just the brass that's left. I took those and I had a flat frame around a display box and I hot glued those things all the way around the frame of the display. Well, what are you going to use the shotgun shells for? Usually we just throw them in a bucket or something like that. They're really not worth anything per se, but, you did take the time to dig them up. Why not use them as part of the display of your finds, and just little ideas. Most of the time, if, just use your imagination on them. Craig, once I know you've done some neat stuff with your finds too, and you actually have a detecting room, a layer, detecting a layer. And I know you use coin books and stuff, but why don't you tell them a little bit about what you've done and what you've seen out there?
Yeah, when I first started, I just basically threw everything, coin like wheat pennies in a box or whatever, and I started thinking, I started buying little coin holders and putting the coins in there and putting the date and where I found it, general location and and what the date was, and I've got huge books of these coins. I've kind of stopped doing it a lot. One other thing I do is when I first started Melotech, I kind of threw everything, I had jars full of bullets, and I just threw all the bullets in one jar. And I was talking to this one relic hunter, and he said that what he did was each site, he kept a box, and he put everything from that site in the box. So,
right.
Like if there's a certain Civil War camp, then you put everything from that camp in the box.
I like that idea, too. You do that a lot.
Yeah, so I started doing it. I've been doing this for 34 years. Well, I'm in my 34th year of metal detecting, but I started, it took me about 4 years before I really got into relic hunting. And then once I got into it, I just, I basically didn't hunt too many parks and things like that. I was more into, finding the older coins and the Civil War relics and the colonial stuff.
Right.
So I kind of separate the relics from the coins. The coins kind of go in, little paper things, so I can display them in a book. But at least I have, I can go in and read on the piece of, where the thing is, the coin's in a little case, so I can, read where I found it, and the date, which I think is, for me, it's a good thing, but it kind of jogs my memory on back, when I found it, and
well, yeah, it gives you a historical record. I used to be able to, Greg. I mean, stuff I found 10 years ago, you could point it out and say, "Oh yeah, I found this over there, over here," and now I'm finding my memory's going a little bit. And you find something 15, 20 years ago, it's sometimes kind of hard to remember. So it's actually a pretty good idea. Craig, you actually have several videos, I think, of your, cases that, like your battlefield yard, you had a display kind of thing for that, and some better relics and stuff. I thought it was pretty cool.
I actually have two for my yard, and one is the Civil War and earlier stuff that I found in the yard, and then the rest is, modern coins and more modern stuff that goes, some of the stuff goes back into the 1800s, but it's like little women's sash buckles and kind of, buttons and stuff from that period and toys and different things like that go in there. But my house dates back to 1880, but this town was incorporated in 1796.
Right.
And the railroad ran down this street, and also the Valley Pike, which was a huge commerce area. And so, there's a lot of history in this town, and but I was kind of surprised at how much went back to the colonial times. There's not a whole lot of information, but from the stuff I found up the street, I found 1,700 coins up there. So I got several. I'm still working that site a little bit. So I've got like a area where I've put all my stuff from that one site.
Yeah.
And I've kind of separated some of the stuff in my yard. You know, I've kind of it's all, you know, from the yard, but I've been separating what I find with each detector lately, you know, because it's been harder to find stuff since I've been hunting this yard for, you know, a little over 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm kind of going back over with the Mine Lab Equinox and the Bliss tool, and so I'm kind of comparing what I find, you know, with each detector, you know, just to give me an idea of how, you know, each one is doing.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, with the
I also I've got these button containers that have little plastic round things that has a top on it with cotton inside,
right,
or foam,
almost like a jewelry kind of thing, you know, display that.
Yeah, and I use that for buttons. And you know, I put like I've got boxes with, you know, hundreds of buttons, you know, flat buttons in them, you know, that are just plain. I kind of try to separate the better buttons, you know, into a better, you know, a little different display. Sometimes I've taken, like, you know, a display of the best stuff from the site and put it in one box.
And you guys, I wanted to mention too that, you know, you don't have to get hung up on, you know, if you want to just do a display of really your best stuff, you know, like Craig's doing right there, or the best stuff for the site, and you have extra space in your display case, don't feel bad about putting, like, if you found a kind of an ornate spoon handle or a thimble or something like that, you can put those in around it. You know, I mean, because it's really, what are you going to do with them? I mean, you know, how many, like pocket knives, a lot of times I have some that are like brass handles, but everything else is rusted on them, but they're kind of ornate, the handle itself. Put it in there. I mean, it's just another conversation piece. It's nothing to draw their eyes. What is this? What is that? You know, you're making it interesting. So don't think some of these finds you make are useless or whatever. They're junk. I mean, you know, you can use these because they're conversation pieces anyways. I mean, it draws their eyes to it. And, you know, Craig does his, you know, where he's wanting, you know, like a Civil War one or whatever from the same site. You know, it's good. It's some guys keep diaries of what they find. Craig does it pretty much in showcases, you know, these small showcases. Matter of fact, he gave me a couple. Well, you gave Pauline that ring and me that breastplate. You know, it's a fake breastplate. He didn't give me a real one. I can't believe you cheapskate. But yeah, they sell these small, even they're paper, cardboard, whatever. But they have a nice. It's a nice temporary display case in their cotton or something cotton material in there where you can lay them in, and then you put the top on it. It holds them into place. And they sell these probably a lot of, you know, the websites, you know, as far as anybody sells metal detector stuff, usually they have some kind of displays that you can buy, and you can look around on eBay or Amazon. I'm sure they got them. They're really inexpensive, you know, but they're pretty much flat. With Don actually has on Detector Doodads, I put it on the chat, by the way, Detector Doodad, detectingdoodads.com is the name of the site. He actually has ones for 3-ringer bullets or bullets that actually sit up off it's like a pedestal, and they fit in there, and you just get a different view of them. Instead, you know, because with bullets you almost have to lay them down or stand them up on, you know, on the base of them, and that's about the only ways you can display a bullet. These ones actually pick it up. You can pick them up and put them into this little holder, and they're at an angle, and they're up off the table or counter or whatever. He has them for coins also. And they're a couple dollars. So if you made a really nice find of some rare coin or something, and you wanted to display it in your case that's hanging on the wall, you can actually buy one of those. It'll keep it upright, so you don't have to lean it against the back. It looks nice, you know. And they're a couple dollars. Don does a lot of 3M printing. You know, as far as making this stuff, he does other things too. You'll see it on his website and Facebook page and stuff. But Craig and I've known Don and Chris Engel used to work with them, a good friend of ours, and Chris is out of Texas, and these guys would go out and hunt these old World War 1 and 2 housing projects and everything else. And hell, Chris has been in the hobby for, God, Craig, it was what, 40 years or something like that when we interviewed him years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Don does a really good job. He makes some different items for like the dais and stuff like that, and camera holders for your detector. So you can put your camera when you're metal detecting. I guess like supports and stuff like that. It is a good site to check out. He's a regular guy too, and he does a really good job. He stays busy. But yeah, I mean, I just happened to see that. I put a little video up on Facebook about him, or about that product that he's coming up with. There's a couple more on his website if you want to check them out too. I just thought it was kind of went along with what we were talking about this morning. But displays are. I'm trying to think of some other ways you can. I've seen a lot of stuff. I mean, I got a display case for free, and I rolled it in.
I've got two different types. I've got the ones that are kind of like cardboard, with the glass, and then I got other ones that are wood that have hinges, with a wooden top, real sturdy.
Right.
And I found that if you got a lot of Civil War bullets and you use one of those cardboard cases, it's kind of like it does. It's not sturdy enough. If you got a whole lot of bullets in there, and it's kind of awkward.
Right. They slide around.
Carrying
so
them
you
around
pick them up,
and stuff. And the other cases I have foam. And you can put the bullets in, and they kind of put them. They kind of lie down in the foam a little bit.
Right.
But there's a guy, Jason, who does a really good YouTube channel called Quarter Hoarder. I think he's up over 30,000 subscribers or something, but he has kind of a detector room or relic room, and he has shelves, and he's got this one area where he's got all these Tootsie cars, and
I like those things.
There's a couple other different brands, and he puts them on his shelf all lined up, and pretty good way to do it. But in my detector room, I got some stuff displayed, but not as much. I got actually my dining room table is covered with with all kinds of cases and stuff. In my living room, I got like stacks of cases all in the corners, and I got cans and like coffee cans full of bullets, all stacked around the room. Tupperware containers full of bullets.
That wouldn't fly in my house, Craig. She runs me out of here all the time with that stuff. I bring it in the house. Nope, take that out to your office. I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah. Well, it's like my whole living room's got stuff, all around it.
Yeah.
My coffee table's got a big display on it, and it was from a site that I worked in Alexandria that was perpendicular across from Episcopal High School, and Union Army camped all in that intersection, and they camped all over the Episcopal property and all up and down what was Janney's Lane, and then turns into Seminary Road, and then if you go down Quaker Lane toward Duke Street, there's a fort on the one side that I also hunted. That I was in the Sons of Confederate Veterans, and one of the guys in there, his ancestor was lived in that house, and he was a colonel in the U.S. Army when he decided to go with the Confederacy, and the Union Army took over his house and built a fort there, and they used his wine cellars of Bombette. And he was quite a character, and I remember he was close to 90 years old, and he would take a group through the house and do a tour and So really nice old house. But they basically tore the house down, the Union Army, and they I guess there was slaves quarters there, and the guy, when he came back, lived in one of the slave quarters while he rebuilt the house. But it's up on a hill where you can see like way over into Fairfax County for miles. Probably 5 or 6 miles. It's got a view from there, and I hunted that area for a long time. It was a housing project across the street. We found a lot of stuff at, and that lasted for 4 or 5 years. We metal detected that, but that whole area was just, Alexandria had so many troops. It was unbelievable. It's just little pockets all up and down. Like Braddock Road was one of the best places. I found belt buckles and breastplates in a lot of sites right along that road there.
Mm-hmm.
And there was an old school I went to. Well, I was built in the 1950s, but they changed it into kind of a teacher's building, and I saw them doing some work up there one time, and I think my friend and I went up there, and we saw this security guard, and he's about 6'9". He goes, "What are you guys doing?" So we told him, and he said, "Oh, okay, that's fine." And he goes, "Yeah, they're getting ready to, in a couple years, they're going to redo this place and start it up as a new middle school." Right. And I said, "Well, I went to middle school here in 8th grade, back in the 60s.
Back in the 1800s.
Yeah.
I had to throw that in.
So, but the funny thing about that site was I think it had been hit, for a long time, and I didn't find a whole lot of silver coins there, but I did find, I found a cut coin there. I think it was 1721. Mm-hmm. And another friend that hunted there for a while, he found a 1 real that didn't have a date on it. There was a friend of mine in high school that I ran track with, and he was into history, and he worked for like a paranormal magazine, with psychic stuff. And
right.
I think it was called Strange Magazine. And when he heard I was, doing this, he said, "Wow, that's crazy," And I said, I found stuff up there at Minnie Howard School. And he goes, "Really?" So his property was right behind the school, or right on the side of the school. And so we went kind of like behind his yard. There was a little area right along the fence, and I let him use my detector, but he was one of these geeky guys that had to, he wouldn't do what I told him to do. He was trying to go in he wanted to go in all metal and dig everything, and I'm good. There's too much junk in the ground,
Be there all day in 1 foot area. You'd be there all day.
Well, I'm popping stuff left and right all around him, and I'm trying to help him, at the same time. And so he said something about belt buckles and stuff, and I said, "Well, I really haven't had much luck on, I found a couple, but really don't have much luck on them." And I got this penny signal right on the curb, and there was like a little, piece of concrete, and then like 2 inches away, I get this signal. I dig down like 1.5 inches, and there's a U.S. box plate. And he couldn't believe it. I said, "See," I said, "this whole area, it's, even though it's been, built over, there's still stuff, here.
There's still stuff there, yeah.
Yeah, some yards, the soil hasn't been touched. It's like in my yard, Union Army camp, in Alexandria, 150,000 troops. And I got in this one guy's yard. He was getting ready to move. He's in this foreign service, and I think he was retiring, and they couldn't afford the house anymore. But they had it was a double lot, and the house took up most of the one lot, and then the side yard was pretty big. And So he said, "You think there's anything here?" And I said, "Man," I said, "you wouldn't believe the stuff I found in my yard." And I said, "You're only 5 or 6 houses away." And I said, "This whole top of this hill there was Union troops, 150,000 Union troops visit this hill, not to mention all the rest of the people." But, I said, it's worth a try. And I dug I think in 45 minutes, I dug, like 50 bullets.
Jeez.
And all kinds of coins, and ended up, he was asking me if there's any way I could, give him some of the bullets. And so I went back and I actually gave him all the bullets, and he wasn't interested in the coins, so I kept the coins, and I got a fair amount of silver coins and everything. And he ended up giving me I made a big display case, and knocked on his door, and he comes out and he looks down and he sees this, this case, and his eyes just about popped out of his head, and he goes, "That's for me?" And I go, "Yeah." And he couldn't believe it. And he ran upstairs and gave me like this whole box of silver coins.
Well, that's just really.
Like, no, you don't have to. I said I just enjoy doing it. I like, finding. I just like digging. And.
Well, the way I always look at it, as far as giving a gift like that, I mean, if they know you good, they know that you're a relic hunter or whatever, or, you guys out there, they know that you're into relic hunting or metal detecting, but you're giving something to them that they just can't go out and buy. I mean, if you were to buy each of those items, you got to look up a pocket knife thing and a coin and a bullet. I mean, you'd probably spend $100 anyways on some of them items because they are, not like so many of them out there. I mean, last time we heard they're getting $10 a bullet. So if you put, 10 bullets in there, it's, $100, you might as well say. So it is, lucrative as far as money goes, but it's more the thought of it, and it's a conversation piece, and it's something that you did for them. It's always nice to do something for somebody instead of just going out and buying buying a card, buying whatever. You do something for them, it means more, and it's more of a, it displays your art or your hobby. I mean, what better way to save history than to put it where people can see it, And it's just thoughts. I mean, I have stuff that I find, Craig, even the old iron stuff. I have that 38-pound D-shackle I always talk about. It's sitting in my flower bed. I mean, where else am I going to put this thing? It's a monster, but, I want to display it somewhere, so I put it in the flower bed around the other stuff. I got old, the old conch shells and fossilized rock and this and that. I'll put them around and, in the yard there, and everybody that comes over. Well, since we put the new house here, I got to redo a lot of the stuff. But before, I was like, "Oh, where'd you get that at? That's pretty cool." Man, look at that D-shackle. They're just, it's a natural conversation piece. And if it's getting people to look at it instead of it sitting in a box or sitting in the shed or piled up in a closet somewhere, put this stuff out there for people to see. That's the reason you found it, kind of in the first place. You unearthed it.
There's a house across the street that I wanted to hunt, and I actually saw guys raiding the house. There was a house next door that the guy just left, and they were going to sell the house, and all of a sudden there was like 9 relic hunters, just basically ran out and they, were hunting the front yard.
Right.
And so the last 2 that were out there, I went over and talked to them, and one of the guys was a rookie, and the other guy was a long-time relic hunter, and so the one guy started encroaching into that. There was a modern house they were hunting, and then next door was a 1796 house, and that house looked, really old. I mean, it was, there was rumors that it had been a hospital, and it was also a blacksmith shop.
Right. But
anyway, when I was talking to the guy, I said, "Hey, this is their property over here, And about then, the lady came out, and that's when I met her, and she ended up, telling them they couldn't hunt her property, that
right.
You had to get, So she had a husband that she said, I showed her, and she sells jewelry and all kinds of stuff, and she actually had some bullets and that she was selling, and she said these bullets go for like $10 a piece, and I was like, really? I said, we said you can barely be able to get $1.50 for them, you know.
Yeah.
And I said then they went up to about $5, but I didn't know they were at $10. So I actually gave her a little display box full of I have these small ones that are about 3.5 by 3.5 inches, and sometimes I'll put like one item in there, or sometimes if I don't find a lot in a certain spot, I'll just it's enough to put in there. But anyway, she was, oh my gosh, she goes, I'm not selling any of these. This is my personal thing. So
well, that's what we find a lot of times, Craig. Good.
Well, anyway, I met the husband, and he was like, nah, I don't want you to hunt the yard, I don't, and he was kind of, strange about it, but, I said, okay. So then it was like about a week or so later, I guess she showed him the box that I gave her, and, the stuff, and so then he sees me, and he comes over, and he starts asking me questions, and so he says, well, my house is dated to 1800, and I said, no, it's 1796, and he goes, no, it's 1800, and I go, no, it's 1796, and so he goes, well, how do you know this? And I said, well, I got a map that people in the historic house gave me, and I said, actually, I got some extra copies. You want a copy of it? So he goes, so I said, well, come on in. Let me show you. So I took him in, and I have like they gave me a whole bunch of copies of the map, and the first ones I bought were like $5 a piece, but I kind of help them out. I'm always cleaning up stuff. There's a lot of people that throw beer cans and beer bottles. They go to this restaurant near me, and they drink in their cars before they go into the restaurant, so they don't have to pay the higher price for the booze.
Yeah.
But they tend to drop the crap all over the ground there, and we both have pretty big properties. He's got a half acre, and I got 0.8 of an acre, and it's a historical house. They don't live there. They live in Warrington, so I kind of police their property, and they like me. But anyway, right next to the map, I had displays from my yard, and so he goes, "What's all this? Where'd this come from?" And I said, "Oh, all this is from the yard." And he goes, "Your yard here?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "You got to be kidding me!" And his eyes are like popping out of his head. And I said, "Well, this is the more modern stuff. These are the coins I found." And I showed him a Walking Liberty half, and I said, "This is a 1820 half dime that came from Mexico." And I said, "They used these coins, early on." And I said, I got a few Indian head pennies. I got a lot of wheat pennies. Showed him a Mercury dime and a V nickel, and so he was like, "Wow, that is something." He said, "You think there's anything like this in my yard?" And I said,
Never know.
It makes sense. It's got to be. I mean, you're right across the street.
Right.
And I said, I think it's worth a try. And I said, I don't do this for money or anything else. And I said, I just like doing it. And I said, I even have extra detectors if you want to hunt. And he goes, "You do?" And I said, "Yeah, I got top of the line. I don't have any junk."
Yeah.
I said, "I can let you use a $1,500 Deus."
Yep.
And so anyway, he came back over about a week later and asked me more questions, and I was thinking, this guy's getting interested, maybe I'll be able to hunt the yard. So eventually, I think it was last Thanksgiving.
Well, we've got to kind of wrap it up, Craig, here pretty soon. I'm just letting you know. We can run a few minutes over.
Well, anyway, the long story short is his son. He told his son about it, and his son really wanted to do it. So we went and did the side yard, but we found nothing but modern coins, and they were all deep. So I think they might be fill dirt, but there's still places in the yard, and they went through a fire recently. So he told me, he said once they get everything straight, he wants me to come back over, and they want to try it again.
Right.
That's cool. But it's all these yards around here. I mean, you walk up and down the street. There's a lot of houses from the 1800s, and some that are, a lot of them too. That well, not a lot, but a fair amount have cabins inside their house from the 1700s,
built around them,
where they built around it. Yeah.
Well, it's just we always say too. I mean, it's said in the hobby generally, hunt your own backyard, because you never know what was there before you, what was left, what was dropped. People make some incredible finds in their own yards, and even I know a guy that was hunting a housing addition down here just for the fun of it, and finds a 3-ringer in the backyard of a brand new housing addition. Because they do bring dirt in, they do bring sod in, and everything. You never know what's caught up in there when they dig it out or when they move dirt, where the dirt's coming from. So you just never know what might be in your own yard. But we got to kind of wrap this thing up. We like to keep them around a half an hour. Thanks, guys, for listening. I see Peter on here on chat right now. Hello, Peter. And you have to listen to it on the archive if you have to. There, we talked a little bit about display cases and stuff on the show. And how we display stuff, and we'll do more shows like this too. Thank you for the idea, and if you guys do have an idea for a show or want to hear about something, or even maybe you want to be on the show, you can always send me an email at hmd.radio1@gmail.com, or you can get on the Facebook page. Craig keeps track of that pretty good, and just message us or even put a post up. Doesn't matter. And we'll get you on there or get talking about those certain topics.
We can, you can as a visitor, put a post on, and if you want to promote your channel or show some finds, or we always like to see finds. Everybody wants to see good finds on there.
Oh yeah, definitely. So, yep, we'll kind of wrap it up for tonight then. Or today. God, Craig, I'm all out of it. These early morning shows kind of get to me so far.
Well, we're just new on them, so.
Yeah.
But we like doing it. So.
Yep, definitely.
Fun.
But we'll have a show tomorrow night, our regular Thursday night show at 8 p.m. We just kind of talk about everything off the cuff, and we don't really plan for it. We just kind of let the show take its own path there. And that's kind of what these do. These morning shows are a little bit more localized to topics, but they do... they take their own path too. So, we kind of go with it. But appreciate y'all listening. Be sure to like and follow and share with a friend. Let them know that we're on here. And if you think they might like the show, heck, give them the site and let them check it out for themselves, and they can download archive shows or what have you. Appreciate you listening. If you guys don't work today, get out there metal detecting. Go find something and keep digging. God bless.